Smasho here, coming at you with another edition of the Smash News Network. Least Busted Name in News main feature, the daily space weather. It's just the most detailed imagery you'll find of the sun, and the most comprehensive space weather you'll find anywhere on the internet. We have a new weirdo sunspot here forming right at the solar equator, right there. And this large group in the southeast is the most interesting portion. Here's a close-up of that region. Massive series of sunspots down there. We do have some geomagnetic storm conditions coming, also the equinox, and some serious storm forecasts. Some heavy rains coming to places like Nova Scotia, and some snow coming to eastern Canada. There's your solar intensity gram. Sunspot 3108 will be the name of this one. It looks like it's already beta gamma class. Here's the colorized magnetogram from SDO. And please take a moment to press like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Thanks for viewing the videos. Thanks for putting up with the pathetic censorship on the platform. Make sure you check our community posts if you haven't. And check our playlists for videos that have nothing to do with space weather. There are cosmology segments also. Smashomash.org presents The Sun. Even some product reviews, driving, riding, and pro tips, and more. Like terms defined. Thanks again to our YouTube viewers. If you want to support the channel via subscription services, become a member at the Smash Team. Smashomash.com/Smash Team. Thanks to the Gold and Silver Smash Team members. Gold and Silver Smash Team members get additional content. You can find links below the video and on the homepage at smashomash.com. Welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. Congratulations on realizing that the channel exists. One of the links you can find there is the link to ShoreMed. If you click on that link, you'll find this page. If you've got questions or concerns about the association membership, hit me up. Contact information right there on the page. You can sign up for the American Better Health Organization, otherwise known as ShoreMed, right there on the link. And it does allow you to purchase some different types of insurance. That's group insurance that you'd only be able to get through a ShoreMed membership, like dental, vision, hospital indemnity, critical illness insurance. For example, if you join at the premier level, you get accident and critical insurance thrown in. So check that out if you're interested in improving your health. Become a member at ShoreMed. It even includes virtual veterinarians, the teledoc service, and lots more if you're going to take your health into your own hands. Do it with a ShoreMed membership. Today's featured product is our third bestseller. Links below the video and on the homepage at smashomash.com to our merch shop as well. It's shown in order of best selling. And our bestseller is a product that we cannot mention because of, I'm not sure exactly why, but for some reason, there are words on there that shall not be said because the video is on YouTube and we are indeed a monetized channel here at the Smash News Network, Least Busted Name in News. So today's featured product is our third bestseller, Mensa, Make Earth Not Suck Again. Have you noticed pathetic censorship, for example, making Earth suck? Yeah, we've been complaining about zombie corporations for about 6 years. And maybe that's why we've only got 340 followers on Twitter. But for whatever reason, maybe we're not saying anything, maybe we're not witty enough to get social media followers, folks. But in any case, we consider it up to you. It's a message of personal responsibility. It's up to you to make Earth not suck again, so think global and act local. Start a conversation about how and why Earth has sucked and what you can do to make it not suck. If you've noticed, giant heaving bureaucracies and bureaucrats are unable to get out of their own way. Perhaps you're watching the crumbling of a republic, but in any case, our finest days lie ahead because of people like you who are making Earth not suck again. Thanks to our Twitch followers, we're on Twitch, we're on Twitter. If you haven't got an account over there, create an account and hit us up over there on Twitter. Thanks to our new followers on Twitter. And let's get back to space, but first, some geophysics stuff. Looking at the latest volcano eruptions. So Abico is producing a 10,000-foot ash plume, Ibu a 7,000-foot ash plume, Tokono a 7,000-foot ash plume. Popocatépetl probably erupting, but volcanic ash not observed in satellite imagery. Nevado del Ruiz exploding, flight level 220. Sangay in Ecuador exploding, flight level 230. Revenador exploding, flight level 160. Sabancaya exploding, 23,000-foot ash plume, flight level 230. Last but not least, Piton de la Fournaise on the island of Réunion. Some activity happening there, like spattering activity and the production of sulfur dioxide. Let's talk earthquakes. Seismic activity here kind of high at the moment, as there has been a 6.8 magnitude quake. So it looks like an aftershock following that 7+ magnitude quake. I believe it was a 7.6, 7.5, something like that. Anyway, that's the location of that. Remember, folks, any earthquake can be a foreshock. That one looks like an aftershock. It came in just this morning at 6:16 Universal Time, at 6.8 there at Michoacán. It's not Tidestick, it's Michoacán. Anyway, quite a lot of quakes there around the Pacific Rim mainly. Like a 5.0 at Indonesia. Iran saw a 5.1. That one came in at 17:57 yesterday afternoon, Universal Time. A 5.0 at Japan. .7 at Bolivia. And the most recent quake that we see there on the list is the 5.2 at New Zealand. That one came in at 9:07 Universal Time. And let's get back to space. Space, a frontier. These are the voyages of the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, where we cite facts and we laugh at pathetic propaganda and nonsense. If you've noticed, there's not going to be any Carrington-like event on the 23rd. It's a little bit too late for any of that to happen. That's the last 24 hours from SDO in 171 angstroms. And if you think human consciousness is controlling the sun, well, I don't know what to tell you. You probably believe a lot of nonsense on YouTube. I know there's definitely plenty of propaganda and general crap promoted on the platform. We cite facts. And let's get into more space weather data here. So the radial flux now at 137 solar flux units. There's the 1-year chart of the radial flux. Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard here, expecting some geomagnetic unrest and geomagnetic storm conditions late tonight and early tomorrow. So that's from a coronal hole high-speed stream. We're expecting that to actually last a couple of days here. We've got some major coronal holes on the sun. And of course, tonight the equinox occurs where the Earth crosses the sun's equator. Yes, Earth's equator crosses the sun's equator, creating the same amount of light for the northern and southern hemisphere. So this is the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. We did see a recent uptick there in solar wind density. It's very minor. We'll get to it momentarily. So that's about 12 Earth diameters out. Earth's magnetic moment from space, Earth's geospace. And here is the Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. Also the last 4 hours. Things pretty calm here, geomagnetically speaking. And again, Noaa expecting some geomagnetic unrest late today and geomagnetic storm conditions early into tomorrow. So there's the planetary K index, a measurement of global geomagnetism. Things are calm. KP1 is the current KP index. And real-time solar wind showing this minor uptick in density. Quite minor there. Calm conditions for the solar wind at the moment. Solar wind there, 11.4 protons per cubic centimeter for the density. For the speed, about 414 kilometers per second. Let's get into the magnetic data. There are the Gov magnetometers for the past 3 days. Things are pretty smooth there for the near equatorial geosynchronous satellites. Let's take a look at the heliospheric current sheet. There may be a North Pole current sheet headed this way at the moment. Earth remains in a South Pole current sheet, depicted here in red on the top view ecliptic plane field plot. Here's a line of sight field plot. And it's time to move to coronal holes. What evil lurks in the minds of YouTube propagandists? Lots. Remember, folks, there's a fine line between misrepresentation and fraud. So here are coronal holes. And we've got mainly South Pole-oriented coronal holes here. They are quite well defined, as you'll see in our SDO imagery. So this one up here is the one that we can expect an ongoing high-speed coronal hole wind stream as well as possible geomagnetic storm conditions. And let's move to sunspots. That's the last 24 hours from SDO. And we're going to have a new sunspot here. This will be 3109. So that's a new group there. Practically just barely north of the solar equator there. And the real spot to watch is 3107. Oh wait, this group back here needs a name too. I believe that's a third group there. So 3105, 3106, 3107, and 3109. This might be 3110. $3,109? I don't know. Whatever. Don't get hung up on the names. The physics is more important. So here's some imagery of sunspots. We created a composite here, 171 angstroms plus the SDO continuum, to show the formation of that new near equatorial sunspot. And let's subtract the 171 angstroms and zoom in. Besides that new growth, they're mostly stable here. A little bit of growth of this group. And those are all beta-gamma class sunspot groups there, so they're all capable of producing some flares. I think the most interesting region is this area, although that area by the equator is looking fairly active, so we'll be streaming it live all day today at twitch.tv/smashomash. If you want to tune into that, make it your screensaver, leave us some comments, etc. We appreciate that. So proton flux here, returning back to baseline levels. No major flares, just a couple C-class intensifications over the past 24 hours. And here is the last 24 hours at 94 angstroms. It looks like those flares did indeed come out of the southeast quadrant. And next, let's talk some astrography. Are you confused about where you're located in the galaxy? Are you confused about what's going on overhead? Well, create yourself a star chart. This one is from in-the-sky.org. It depicts what's going on over our heads here in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. We've got Venus just rising, the moon up there. We've got a crescent waning moon at the moment. Mars up near the apex of the ecliptic, and Jupiter setting in the west. Next, the solar system forecast. This is where things are now. Let's advance this 1 week as we approach a new moon. Should be good times to see aurorae if there are serious geomagnetic storms. So perhaps early tomorrow morning there'll be some aurorae visible. It's always great to have a dark sky there associated with a new moon. Anyway, that's where things will be in a week. We will have a crescent waxing moon by then. And of course, the equinox means that the Earth's equator is crossing the sun's equator, making for equal amount of light in the northern and southern hemispheres, as you see here on the NASA GOES interactive weather satellite, the visible data there. And the equinox occurs at 9:03 and 34 seconds. That's Eastern Time. Let us know if you think we ought to do a live stream. We haven't decided yet, so let us know in the comments if you think we ought to stream live for the equinox. Maybe we'll do a short stream to celebrate the transition from summer to fall, or if you're in the southern hemisphere, thanks for tuning in, transitioning from winter into spring. Next, some coronagraphs as we approach our bonus feature segment. Unfortunately, Stereo A is not returning any recent data. It's been well behind and spotty at best. There's the data from yesterday from the George Mason University coronagraphs. And we'll also show today's data. Let me just refresh that. So there's the 18 frames from today. There is some ejecta there. It doesn't look like anything major. It's pretty diffuse. And frankly, we can't tell which direction it's oriented because of a lack of data from Stereo A. So here's the coronagraph from the Soho-Lasco C3. You can see Venus moving into frame there. And we'll let that play through. Here's Stereo A's data. It's from, well, from yesterday, frankly. That is the latest frame, and it's quite unhelpful. So a little bit of minor ejecta there from the Soho-Lasco C3. Tough to tell if it's on this side or the opposite side of the sun. In any case, there are no major CMEs to cover. Here's the last 24 hours. Showing Soho-Lasco C3, Soho-Lasco C2, a sun-diving comet showing up there, and the SDO 304 angstroms wavelength. So if you look right here, see a comet there. And that's what happens when you actually look at the data, folks. You end up with some stuff you wouldn't have expected to see. It's like when you ask questions in science, and you end up getting answers to questions not asked. It's happened to us regularly, because I wasn't trying to explain the solar cycles. It just happened as a result of some deductive and inductive reasoning while looking into the daily space weather. And thanks for leaving comments, Mama D1K and Acrylic D. Next, we're going to look at filaments here from the ground-based solar observatory at El Teide, Spain. There's the hydrogen alpha imagery from the National Sunspot Observatory there in El Teide, Spain. Some decent filaments there, showing up as dark absorption features. Likelihood of CMEs is, it's there. Most of those filaments there in the northern hemisphere. And let's take a look at the GOES 16 SUVI. This is what we usually stream on Twitch. We'll be doing it again today. And a bit of a prominence up there in the northeast. Next, we're going to bring up another composite series of images. This will be Iron Star, 94, 335 plus 193 angstroms. That is yesterday plus today's imagery, and let's zoom in a little bit there. And thanks for stargazing with us. So now we're moving into bonus features, looking at charging hazards here, and it's smooth sailing at the moment for satellites. That's the Satellites Community Dashboard, by the way. If you want to check that out, it's one of the many features of the Space Weather Prediction Center. Next, looking at electrons, and the relativistic electrons here at the F layer of the ionosphere, measured by the GOES 16 and GOES 17 here, just at nominal levels. Nothing to write home about there. There is the Noaa Forecast. We can expect this to be a little bit lower than their forecast here with the arrival of the coronal hole density wave and high-speed portion. Don't be surprised to see that a little lower than the Noaa forecast. There is the one-year graph to put that in context. Again, just nominal levels here, nothing too exciting. Let's take a look at the vibrational frequency of the ionosphere, which has seen quite a lot of high-frequency anomalies. So there you have that, which stopped playing because reasons. It's courtesy of the Australian Government Bureau of Meteorology, by the way. We do see some shifts happening there. Let's take a look at the anomalygram. That's anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. And we'll show the latest image. This is 10:15 Universal Time ionogram and 10:15 Universal Time anomalygram. We're also going to show the total electron content. Your GPS satellite must communicate through, well, the inner portion of the outer Van Allen belt, first of all. That's right here. Also this plasmasphere, the inner Van Allen belt, this plasmasphere, and the ionosphere. And the free electrons in those zones can lead to huge diffraction of the signal, creating GPS errors of thousands of miles. And that's what the total electron content is depicting, the free electrons in between your GPS satellite and your GPS handset. We're going to show North America, and then we're going to zoom out to the world view. So there's the total electron content over North America. Those red dots are signal stations that are measuring GPS errors from the ground side because they know where they're located. Here's the standard deviation. And here's the anomaly. That's the anomaly from the 10-day average. Moving on to the global view here for total electron content. And things pretty orderly at the moment here. Most of the free electrons located over the equator around noontime. And it's time to continue on to our latest intensitygram and latest magnetogram. We show the refresh on that. And there's that weird sunspot right by the equator. It is beta gamma class. And of course, as this group sets, it's more likely to produce major flares. There are the fields and the umbrae. And of course, the most exciting area is this region here. Let's see if we can get all of those sunspots. That's as close as we'll get. But that's a lot of magnetic complexity in one tightly packed region, folks. That area definitely capable of producing some major flares. There's a full disk view, and we've got some additional imagery here of that exciting region in the southeast. And there's the full disk view. And it's time to transition into meteorology. And man, we've got some interesting forecasts here. There's some snow coming to eastern Canada. We'll show you some storm tracks for that Atlantic hurricane. I'm not hung up on the names. We're starting out with significant wave height. And we've got some serious waves here north of the Caribbean in the southwestern Atlantic. It's yowzers. Over 42-foot waves down there. So that's where things are located. And that is a major hurricane here. Easily showing 90+ mile per hour winds there without even zooming in much. And let's head to our regularly scheduled wind maps. So here you go. There is the surface wind scenario for the eastern world, featuring the most populated portion of the planet. India and China there showing up. Hey, Smash staff, don't forget to put some of our videos on TikTok today. Yes, TikTok. One of the world's top spyware programs. Okay, here are the jet streams of the eastern world. They're blowing backward over the West Pacific and the northern Indian Ocean. Here are the jet streams of the Americas. Huge anticyclone here over the south-central U.S. You can see that area right there. That is a upper-level high pressure rotating clockwise as anticyclones do. Maybe not quite as strong as Jupiter's Great Red Spot. Here are the surface winds of this side of the planet. Another powerful tropical low there off the coast of the Azores. Here are the surface winds of the central world, Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. And here are the jet streams. Let's get into forecast. We don't want to spend too much time on this or for the video to be too long. So here is the weather.gov map, and you've got some frost advisories there in Minnesota, North Dakota for most of the state, and portions of South Dakota as well. Some flood watches there around the Four Corners region, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah. If your county's lit, click your county, head to weather.gov. We can't cover all of that because we're only zoomed out to a nation-level view here, weather.gov. So here's your, first of all, your temperature anomaly forecast based on the GFS model for the next 72 hours. Temperature anomalies shown here in degrees Celsius. Some quite cold temperatures there coming to some portions, and indeed some quite hot temperatures coming to places like Oklahoma. Next, your pressure and precipitation forecast, and check it out, some snow showing up there. Very likely there in the next 3 days, some heavy snows over eastern Canada. Check it out. Yeah, the hurricane, it's going to be bringing some snow, very likely, to eastern Canada. That's your 72-hour GFS pressure and precipitation forecast. And let's switch to the Atlantic Ocean's wind and pressure forecast. There's the storm track over the next 3 days. It's expected to loiter a little bit there near Nova Scotia. And actually, it's going to intensify there, according to that forecast. It's going to drop down to 930 millibars of pressure. That is less than optimal. It's going to be a major hurricane there, at least for the next 2+ days. It's going to be a pretty serious landfall there at Nova Scotia, Newfoundland. Probably even a storm surge associated with that. Here's your total accumulated precipitation forecast in inches. And parts of Nova Scotia, they're also expecting like 7 inches of rain. And we're going to show the Euro forecast also to see if that's any significantly different. This is the European forecast for pressure. And it is looking pretty similar there. Let's take a look at precipitation type while we're here. And indeed, Euro forecast expecting some snow to come there to eastern Canada. So the likelihood to see snow there, also some wintry mix happening, is indeed quite high. That's windy.com. They've got a free mobile app. Feel free to download that if you like. Next, our NASA Goes Lightning Mapper, and we heard a little bit of thunder here in Pennsylvania when we were doing show prep. Let's check and see the current state. Some lightning here in the northeast, indeed. And we've got some active cells. Mount Washington's got some thunder rolling in. Continuing on to our U.S. Doppler radar map, there is the current state of affairs. Vertical motion of water droplets in the air column. We'll focus on the lower 48. Shortwave radiation map showing clouds and fog. And there's water vapor. Here's a recap. And once again, thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network Least Busted Name of News. Once again, congratulations on realizing the channel exists. Despite the pathetic censorship, promotion of propaganda, disinformation, and nonsense on the platform. Don't forget to press like, subscribe, etc. Visit our links. We'll see you soon. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off. And may that solar wind be at your back.